All right, it's 3:30 p.m. my time, and it's time to think about dinner, and I'm gonna show you guys another Stockpile meal, so let's get started. All right, hey everyone, welcome back to Heartway Farms. I'm so glad you're here with me. Today is just a simple, easy video. Again, I'm just sharing dinner with you guys. I'm cooking with everything that I have available down in my stockpile, in my root cellar, all of the places where I store food. I'm making dinner out of those things today. So I'm just sharing this super easy meal idea for all of you in case you haven't thought about it yet. So I just want to give you an opportunity to hang out with me in my kitchen today, and we're gonna make supper. And on the menu is going to be homemade breadsticks. We've already showed you our crusty bread, our sourdough bread, but today we're making homemade breadsticks with a delicious seasoning on top. It is a family favorite, super easy. We're gonna make gnocchi in the air fryer, which has changed my life. That's a little over dramatic, but it's really good to make it in the air fryer. So we're making homemade gnocchi, homemade sauce, and then I think we're just throwing together a salad. So that's gonna be dinner for tonight, so let's get started. All right, as I said, we're about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from dinner time, so I want to go ahead and get my breadsticks, that whole process started, because it takes a little bit of time. And so while my breadsticks are rising, I'm going to do all my other stuff and have that all done so then we can have nice hot breadsticks right out of the oven at dinner time. Step one, I'm gonna use my mixer and get my stuff in here. And in my mixer here, I'm gonna add 1.5 cups of warm water. You guys know when you have anything with yeast, you need to activate that yeast. And so that's why we're using nice warm water. Not too hot, don't want to kill your yeast. Okay, so 1.5 cups of warm water. Put that in there. All right, and next we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of sugar. Just gonna use some organic cane sugar. Okay, and for this last ingredient for this moment, we're gonna put in some instant yeast. And for this, we're gonna need 2 1/4 teaspoons of instant yeast. Okay, so I'm activating that yeast, gonna stir it up real quick and let it sit for about 15 minutes or so, and then I'll check back in with you. All right, I've been letting it sit and activate, and now we're gonna move on to the next step. So now to my mixing bowl, I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of olive oil. All right, and then 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm just using sea salt today. You can use pink salt, whatever you have. Later at the end of this, you guys will see the topping is what makes these so yummy. So good. Okay, so we've got that. We're gonna turn this on a low mix here just for a minute. Okay, that's good enough for that. And you guys know we store our flour in bulk around here, so it's not pretty, but this is real life. Okay, I'm gonna start by adding, at first 3 cups of this is unbleached flour. Here's where you just need to pay attention. We might need a little bit more. We're gonna watch and see. We might need up to 4 cups, but start with 3 cups. And I've got my dough hook on here, and I'm just gonna turn it on low. And you know, you're looking for the dough to come together as a nice dough ball and pull away from the sides. So I'm gonna watch it and see. All right, I'm gonna scrape the sides real quick to get that olive oil in there. It's wanting to stick to the side a little bit. And it's pretty loose, so I'm gonna start by adding another 1/2 cup. So just keep track, we're at 3.5 cups. It probably wouldn't be the end of the world if you just added all 4 cups in at once, but I like to just see how the dough is. So let's incorporate this and see. I'm gonna add that last 1/2 cup, so I am up to 4 cups, and this should do it. And I'm gonna go slow because the dough is starting to get drier, which is good, that's what you want. right, so I have a full 4 cups of my flour in here, and it's already looks great, but I'm gonna let this incorporate and knead together for about 5 minutes, and then I'll check back with you. Okay, our dough has been kneading for about 5 minutes. It looks great. I'm gonna get it out and start working with it here. I'm gonna flour my hands so I don't get totally covered in dough. And the great thing about this dough, and we'll get to this in a minute, is it only needs to rise for an hour. So it's not anything that takes a lot of time. It's very simple and user-friendly. Okay, I'm gonna put this away because you ladies who have small kitchens, I'll give you a shout out right here. We have to make sure we are diligent with our space. So I'm going to lightly flour my counter here. All right, and we're gonna get all this dough out of here. Not leave any behind. And actually, I know someone's gonna be upset with me because this makes a this is a single recipe, but it makes a lot of breadsticks. This is gonna end up making 2 9x13 pans. But I'm telling you, Marie's, do we ever have any left? I mean, we like never have any left. She's behind the camera, you guys can't see her. But we literally don't ever have any left. So right now, because this is making 2 different 9x13 sheets, we're going to cut it into 2 even dough balls. All right, and I'm gonna set this one aside, get some flour on it so it doesn't stick. All right, and then I'm gonna work with this piece right now. And my goal is to, it depends who's making this. If Julianne's making this, she doesn't do this step. She just puts it straight in the buttered 9x13 pan. I'll talk about that in a minute. But it's easier for me to roll it out a little bit before I put it in there. So that's what I'm going to do because it's a very elastic dough, okay? So I'm just doing general shape. I'm trying to go for kind of a rectangle here. Like I said, I can get in there and move it with my fingers if I need to. Okay, general shape, right? Okay, I'm gonna bring one of my 9x13 pans over, and I already did this step while I was letting the yeast activate. So I have 2 9x13 pans. In each of my 9x13 pans, I had some softened butter. And you're gonna probably want to use butter for this step. You could use oil, but you need to use a little bit more oil than you would think because this is what gives a crisp, like a really delicious crisp on the bottom and outside of your breadsticks. So I have 4 tablespoons of butter in this pan. Not only will it help it not stick, it'll give it a beautiful, delicious, brown, crusty taste. So I'm gonna take my dough in here and I'm gonna put it in there and then just kind of use my fingers to shove it into the bottom. I don't need it to come up on the sides. I mean, if it overlaps, it's okay. I'm just gonna tuck it down in there and shove it down in there together. All right, I've got one done and let's do the other one. Minimal flour as possible because you don't want to dry out your dough. That's no fun. All right, I don't need to make this one quite as big because I think I made the other one a little too big, which is okay. That is the joy of being a home cook. Nobody cares. You do your best. Okay, so I'm gonna fit this in here. Oh, that's about perfect actually. So I didn't need to make it quite as big. And if I need to get to the corners, easy. I just scooch it down and tuck it down in there. All right. Beautiful. That one was more on than the first one, but that's okay. These look great and they look good to go. Now, before I let them rise, I have melted, here I like the texture that this gives when you do this on top. Okay, I have 2 tablespoons of melted butter and I'm going to brush this on top. I'm telling you, this is not necessarily a healthy recipe, but it's a delicious recipe and it's definitely a treat. Our crusty bread is super basic ingredients and we eat that more on a daily basis, but this is a treat and it's perfect for Italian or whatever. So that's why we are cool with all the butter, right? And plus the kids are amazing. They just run it all off. So, all right, I'm gonna cover both of these. All right, they have butter on them. Now I'm going to cover them both with plastic wrap and then let them rise for 1 hour. And while these are rising, I'm gonna start on the gnocchi and the sauce. Okay, while my breadsticks are rising, I'm gonna get the sauce going so it has time to reduce a little bit and get all those flavors mixed in. So, my homemade sauce is so easy, you guys. You can do it with meat or without meat. Tonight I'm doing it with no meat. So I'm gonna go ahead and get on to medium heat, and I'm gonna add probably about 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil, okay? And then we're gonna let this warm up for a minute before I do anything. All right, my olive oil is nice and hot. I already chopped up 2 small onions, and I chop my onions pretty small because I have kids that don't like big onion chunks. So normally I would, if I had 1 large onion, I would only use 1 large one, but I had 2 small ones sitting around, so I'm gonna add those into the oil. You should hear that sizzle. That means your oil's nice and hot, because before we add our sauce into this, our tomato sauce, we want to caramelize our onions and our garlic. But I'm gonna let the onions go first because they take longer than the garlic. And some tips and tricks, you guys. If you don't have fresh onions, but you have onion powder in your stockpile, you absolutely do not have to put fresh onion in this. There's been times where I thought I had onions and I was out, and so I have made this with garlic powder and onion powder, and it tastes just as good. So you can improvise with that. Also, if you are going to add ground beef or ground sausage to your pasta sauce, you would do it at the beginning. So you would brown the meat and the onions together. That's what I like to do, and just let them cook up and caramelize and all of that. But like I said, I'm doing the veggie sauce tonight. So, all right, I'm gonna let this go for a few minutes before I add the garlic. Okay, my onions are right now just beginning to turn brown and caramelize. It smells so good, you guys. You know, when you just are sauteing onions, there's no better smell. Okay, so right now I've got the onions going. They are almost done, so it's a perfect time to add. I'm gonna do about a teaspoon of minced garlic. Okay, and I'm gonna keep that moving and turn my heat down just a little bit. Also, during this time is when I'm gonna add my spices, because the hot heat from helps bring the spices to life. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now, but I have to pay attention. So I've got my onion, my garlic. I'm gonna add a tablespoon of parsley. Doesn't hurt if you have a little bit extra. Parsley is awesome. I'm gonna add a half of a teaspoon of basil. And I'm gonna keep stirring. I don't want anything to burn in here. You don't have to add your spices if you don't wanna watch it. It just really does make the flavor be more intense when you do it on this hot heat. All right, and then I'm gonna add some cumin, only about 1/8 of a teaspoon of cumin. Okay, and that's all my seasoning. I'll do my salt in a little bit. I'm not ready for that yet. And now I am going to add 3 15-ounce cans of tomato sauce. You guys if you've been following us, you've seen in my root cellar that we also have our home canned tomato sauce. But the reason I wanted today to show you how to use it with store-bought is just to show you that you don't have to have home canned sauce to make this sauce. You can use store-bought and it will be just as delicious. So if you do have home canned sauce, make sure you're using, the equivalent of 3 15-ounce cans. All right, now we can bring our heat back up since we're not worried about burning right now. And this is also where you can be flexible. My mom's original recipe calls for fennel seed, which I don't mind at all, but I have some people in my family that has opinions about that. So whatever you guys love in your sauce, add it in here. Josh and I actually with gnocchi also like a reduced balsamic tomato sauce. Sometime I'll have to share that. That's really good, but it's very caramely and balsamic flavor. It's so good. So the kids don't like it as much as we do, so that's why I'm doing the red sauce tonight. All right, and then while this is sitting here and starting to come together, I'm gonna add my salt. And I need 2 teaspoons of salt. This might vary for you depending if you salt your tomato sauce or, you know, or you don't. Okay, so there's 1, 2. All right. And really, it's that easy. I mean, what did that take me? 5 minutes to make? So easy. And all I'm gonna do is keep this on low and let it continue to reduce and meld together and just be delicious sauce. Okay, so we have our breadsticks going, we have our sauce going, and now for the star of the show, we're gonna do our gnocchi, all right? So I can absolutely show you sometime if you are interested in how to make homemade gnocchi, and you know, leave a comment below if you want to see that in the future. But today I'm showing you staple items that you can keep in your pantry that are easy, like the tomato sauce. Even if you don't can your own stuff, you can have this stuff prepared in your house. And so today I'm going to show you, when you buy store-bought gnocchi, how to make it delicious and so easy, all right? So we keep these in our house, but we also keep the ingredients to make homemade gnocchi, which is it's all staple items. So let me know if you're interested in that. Okay, and this packaged gnocchi lasts for a good solid year down in your pantry. And it's really not that expensive in the grand scheme of things. For my family, because everybody loves it, I need 4 packages for my family. So maybe you only need 1, and then it's super affordable. So, all right, let's get started. I'll explain the air fryer behind me in just a minute. We'll get to that. But I'm gonna open up these packages and put them in a large bowl. Okay, so I have 4 packages in here for us. This part doesn't really affect you. If you only need 1 package, just do 1 or 2, etc. So I'm going to break this up for us. And if gnocchi is a new thing for you guys, which it was for me when Josh, I don't even remember how we got introduced to it, probably at a restaurant or something. But I never had gnocchi growing up that I know of. Mom, I know you're watching, so if I'm wrong, you can tell me. But I don't remember ever having gnocchi. And then when we discovered it after we were married, I was like, I really like this. And so gnocchi is just a potato-based pasta pillow. I don't even know if it's a pasta technically, but it's just potato with some flour, seasoning, and it makes these little beautiful little dumplings, and they're so good. Some people like to just boil up their gnocchi and eat it in their soups, like with chicken and dumpling soup. They use this instead of going through all the hard work. But we like to make it more of an Italian dish, so that's what we're doing today. All right, so I've got my gnocchi in here, pretty broken up. It will continue to break up. What I'm going to do, because we are cooking the gnocchi in the air fryer, I don't have to boil this. I'm gonna tell you the process of what I used to do up until we just got this air fryer. This is new for us. So what I would do is I would get a large pot like what I made my red sauce in and fill it up with water just like you were gonna make a pasta. Get that water boiling, and then I would put my gnocchi in. You let the gnocchi go into the hot boiling water, and the way that you know that the gnocchi is done is it rises to the top of the water. It takes only a few minutes. It's a very quick, ready meal. It's very quick in that sense. If you are gonna eat it after it's, so then you use a strainer or a slotted spoon and you take out the gnocchi that's done, and then if you want it just like that, it's so easy, it's so quick. But my family likes it crispy and fried, okay? So what I used to do was I would boil the gnocchi, and then I would strain it, and then I would lay out a towel and I would dry it, and then I would toss it in all these things I'm going to show you, and then I would bake it in the oven at a high temperature, like 450 or 500 I would just watch it, let's say 10 to 15 minutes, maybe longer, until the gnocchi got a beautiful, crispy, fried, like brown look to it on the outside. That is our favorite way. So even if you don't have an air fryer, listen to what I just said a minute ago and do it that way. Boil it, strain it, dry it, do all of the seasonings I'm gonna show you, and then put it on a parchment paper or just on a greased cookie sheet, and then bake it at that high temp to get it nice and crispy. But since the air fryer, I don't have to do several of those steps. I don't have to boil it at all. All I'm gonna do is season it and air fry it for like 13-15 minutes, and it's done. Okay, this is like made one of our little bit more involved meals. Super simple, so I love it. So I'm gonna share it with all of you, and it makes for a quick meal. Okay, so I've got my gnocchi in there, my uncooked, unprocessed gnocchi here. I'm going to drizzle olive oil over the top, a good portion of it. Okay, I'm gonna toss it with my hands later. Set that aside. And then for seasoning on our gnocchi, we like parsley, garlic powder, and this is just to taste, you guys, whatever you like. Onion powder, and then some salt. The nice thing about making homemade gnocchi is you can control the flavor. To be honest, when you buy it from the store, now I'm just gonna toss it. When you buy it from the store pre-packaged, it doesn't have very much flavor. And so you have to make up that flavor with seasonings or whatever. But just like when you make homemade bread, you have the opportunity to put some salt in your dough or some seasonings in your dough to make it pop all on its own without needing to add a bunch of stuff. All right, so I'm just gonna toss this very thoroughly. The cat is just hoping I drop one. All right, this is looking good and ready to go in the air fryer. So I have my air fryer heating up. I just set it for more time, but I'm just gonna set it we'll start with 13. I'll let you know how long it takes. I've never done 4 at once, but I realized last time I did it in 2 batches and I probably didn't even need to do that. So, all right, I'm gonna pull this out. Add our gnocchi in there. And put it back in and let the air fryer do the work. I don't remember if I said this before, but I have my air fryer preheated to 400 degrees. I'm gonna start with 13 minutes and then work my way up from there and get it nice and crispy. This is a big batch, so it probably will take longer than 13 today. Okay, our gnocchi's cooking, and while that's cooking, our breadsticks are done sitting for an hour, and you guys saw I already scored them. So I went into like 8 slices long ways here, and then 2 slices this way to make lots of different breadsticks and get them ready. And you just score them. You're still gonna need to cut them later, but this just makes it easier later. So I have my oven preheated at 475. It's ready to go, and we're gonna put these in the oven between 10 to 15 minutes until they're beautifully done. Our gnocchi is done. It is beautiful and crispy. It's probably hard to see exactly, but it's golden brown, super hot. Because I did 4 packages at once, it took more like 20 minutes, which is perfectly fine. Still saves me so much of the process. But it's because I made so many. But really, if you're just making 1 package, it's only gonna be about, that 13 minutes for you. All right, so our gnocchi is done, our sauce is done, Julianne is working on the salad to have salads with dinner, and all we're waiting for are those hot breadsticks to come out of the oven. All right, our breadsticks are done. They are just now getting a little golden, if you guys can see that. They look wonderful. I only let them go, let me see, I set the first timer for 13 minutes and I did it for 2 more minutes, I believe, something like that. So just watch them and see what your oven does. Now that these are out, this is where we're gonna take more butter, yes, more butter, and I'm going to brush butter on top. This step really does make the breadsticks. I'm putting on about 2 tablespoons per pan. You can do less if you prefer, but all right, we're just adding some more flavor back onto this. They look and smell really good. I had a couple kids come downstairs like, oh, I'm hungry now, I smell the breadsticks. And these do store well till the next day. So like I said, if you're scared of making 2 pans of breadsticks, you know, it's no big deal. You can save it for the rest of the week. All right, we have used up all of that butter, and now this is the best part. So I'm going to tell you what is in this, and then we're gonna sprinkle it over both of these pans, and it's so good. This is what makes it so delicious. So first of all, I have a 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan, 1 tablespoon onion powder, 1 tablespoon dried oregano, 2 teaspoons garlic powder, 1 teaspoon garlic salt, and 1 teaspoon dried basil, and we mixed it up already. And it smells and looks delicious, and we are just gonna put a generous portion on top of these breadsticks. All right, we are done. It was very quick, very easy meal. We've got our gnocchi toasty and ready to go. We've got our sauce is reduced and beautiful, ready to have. And we've got the smell. If only you guys could smell the breadsticks and how good they smell. And of course, everyone loves dipping their breadsticks in the pasta sauce. And Jules put salad on the table, so we are good to go. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will continue to give you ideas on how to cook from your pantry if you guys are still enjoying these. So I hope you enjoyed it and have a blessed day, and we'll talk to you soon.